Heather, it is so wonderful to have you here in the studio with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's very awesome to have you. So what we do initially is something really interesting. And you being a musician, you know how this works. Improv, you're familiar. Well, we do improvisations. So we ask you a little bit of everything about a lot of stuff. And it could be off the wall, or it could be very music related, or it could be about your family.
Okay.
So we kind of do a little bit of everything. So thanks.
So let's get started. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right. So you grew up immersed in violin and piano both. And tell us how your roots led to jazz and the blues.
Well, it was really, first of all, a love of it. And that probably started because my brother played trumpet.
No kidding.
So I was really immersed in classical music 100% as a little kid. But my brother played trumpet. And so he was coming home with Count Basie records and Miles records. And, I just fell in love with especially big band jazz. And so it was always I wish I could do that. How do they do that without, how do they improvise and all that stuff? But
did you start improvising when you were pretty young?
Not at all. Actually, I didn't start till I went to New York when I was in music school.
Really?
And the improvisation really started just playing in the streets. I was playing in the subways and people would ask you to jam, and I was like, well, I don't know how to jam. But we were in the streets, so they were like, do it anyways. And so then I did take some jazz violin and tried to get into a little bit, yeah.
Do you have any good stories about the subway jams?
Oh, gosh, I could give you so many
Good, please do. That's what we're going for.
Good stories. But, well, I would say the greatest is the first guy that I met. His name was Don Houston, and he was really, really haggard. I mean, street musician, but he had the voice of God. I mean, he could just sing so good. So he had terrible sounding guitar and all this stuff, but he could sing. And so I started trying to jam with him, and he was just like, feel it. Feel it! Put your heart in it! And it just opened like the whole consciousness of what it's about.
That's great.
That is so ironic that someone that would tell you to feel it because you were the ultimate at feeling it.
We know that
now.
now.
Exactly. It was kind of because of him, because I felt it as a classical player, but I was very you don't play it in front of people until it is perfect, 100% memorized perfect. And, you never play Bach sonatas in a concert form unless you are one of the very top guys, just because it has to be so perfect. And so he kind of broke that mold a little bit, where it's like sometimes the bad notes are the cool notes. You go for something and you're like, that wasn't supposed to happen, but
happy little mistakes.
Sounds great. Let's do that again.
So what does that do in your training? Because they seem to be juxtaposed against each other. Like one's telling you have to be perfect, the other one's saying it's okay to take those risks, and you were getting both of those messages simultaneously.
Yeah, I think that's where I think the reason I chose the direction I chose, because my personality dug that.
Yeah.
And it wanted that. And so, and even my teacher in music school, because I was with this guy, Raphael Bronstein, coveted Russian violin teacher, and he was in his 90s. And when I told him I was starting to play with bands, he was like, we accepted you in the music school for your expression. He's like, there's millions of violin players out there that are practicing, 12 hours a day, and their technique is, just beyond. And he said, you've got great technique and all. He's like, but that's what we picked you for. And if you're finding a career in that, he said, go for it.
That's great.
Which was a huge deal, because
was it a relief
he validated it. Well, it just validated it.
Yeah.
It didn't make me want to leave classical, because I love classical, but it's just where I belonged,
How cool to have such an open-minded classical teacher like that to tell you that, because that's not the norm, is it?
And he was not what you would have expected. I wouldn't have expected that from him.
Yeah.
I was kind of shyly like, is it okay? I'm playing in a band. And he's like, no, this is very good. No.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Well, speaking of playing in a band, let's let's jump to later in your life. You played with the amazing Sam Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah. And so tell us just a little bit about Sam Taylor and your experience of playing with him.
Well, there's another one who it's all about heart. It
Right.
was all about heart. I would say he taught me to listen. He was the guy that really taught me to use my ears and learn about working with other people and leaving space. And violin players tend to be ding, 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 playing all the time. So then when you start working in the kind of music we do, you need to be quiet. The piano player is filling here. This is filling. And so that really was, Sam was good at creating that. And then he always allowed everybody got spotlight. So you weren't vying for it. You didn't have to chase it with your playing. He gave you your moments, So yeah, he was great. And he had such a deep groove, which I really give a lot of my ability to just stay in the pocket. I feel it really, really deeply. And that's from working with him.
I've heard you play Sam Taylor music. He's passed. And I remember listening to him play and with you in the band years ago. And you bring a similar vitality, but that's all your own. You can feel that warmth. You can feel that soul that was in his song. Do you feel like you're channeling him at all, or
100%.
do you?
Yeah, and that's some of my intention to play his music is to keep it alive.
It's wonderful when you do it.
But it's also and Ed DeLucia, and others, musicians in town that play with him. It's like as soon as you hear his songs, it's like you go into that space because
that's great.
What remember that feel.
A nice homage. And
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Sure, he appreciates it.
So you write a lot of music, and do you write I know it. I've heard blues and jazz and all different things. Do you write things in in that classical format, or do you go back to that space
Not
ever
really.
anymore? Yeah.
I should.
Yeah.
I should, but that's a good idea. It never really occurred to me to try. I did in music school.
Right.
I did some compositions, but
where do you start?
I haven't. Yeah.
How do you start, and what is your starting point?
For me, as a writer, generally. It was actually Sam gave me advice one time in songwriting was to list the titles of songs. Like if, you're driving around in your car and you come up with that great song title, whatever. Let me hear it or something, and then all day long you're thinking, what would be the lyrics? What am I trying to say? So that's one place I start is if a lyric comes to my mind. But otherwise, it usually starts with just sitting down playing piano until something pretty happens or a groove happens, and then you're trying to piece together,
Is there a habitual practice that you have gotten yourself into, or is it
for
inspiration?
Songwriting?
Yeah, or is it inspiration based?
It's very different. Yeah, it definitely moves around,
So you said you like the piano as your place. The birthplace of songs.
That's the birthplace. Yeah. Either the piano or my car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just driving around in my
shower.
Car. Yeah, not so much.
That's for cleaning.
Exactly.
My best idea is starting the car.
The car, I'm constantly, I love the iPhone now where you could, sing a little note or a little reminder or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you don't play the piano out in public, do you?
Not very much. And another thing that I'm just so busy, and so you have these things you just want to nurture.
Yeah.
But I play with such high-level players that my piano, so I'm a classical pianist.
Right.
And I can write songs on piano, and I'll still play Debussy at home and Mozart or whatever. I love to play classical. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a chord-thinking jazz pianist. So I could probably hang with a certain level of player, but not the guys that I play with.
Right.
So I'm always like, I'm going to spend a year and I know I could do it. Yeah. I know I could get it, but it's just time.
Right. And it sounds like that what inspires you is is not as much that as like what you do with the extension of yourself through your violin and through your voice and
It's
whatnot.
landed there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you always look back and you want to do more.
Hmm.
We'd love to play cello too. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And
it's my favorite instrument.
yeah,
Love it.
there's just so much, but there is a time where it's like you can't do everything, and I want to be great at what I do. I want to show up
Yeah.
good.
Pick a lane and go with it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what's your approach to violin? Because you're classically trained,
Hmm.
correct? And the violin, and you're known more for playing blues and jazz on that. Do you still have like a classical approach to it, or and like the same techniques that you use in the classical training?
I
Does that carry over, or how does that work?
it does because you still got to do scales. You want
Hmm.
to be in tune. You still got to practice. I'm forever chasing the good bow technique
Hmm.
to
Mm.
play faster and smoother, or but then again, you got to throw it away a little bit because
Got to feel
the
it.
other day, the other day I did a session and I was talking about a violin player that I respect very much that also goes to the studio and records. And
Hmm.
the guy was like, yeah, but that person is too perfect sometimes.
Oh.
He's like, he does, you know what I mean? And I, because of playing in these different environments, have learned to love some squeaks and some sounds and some.
Mhm.
So, again, you have to, you, you can't not know how to do it and just squeak.
Hmm.
Right.
But you got to know how to throw away sometimes the perfection to get, if I want to sound like I'm doing a Coltrane song, there's something cool to get a little saxophone in there, a little harmonica
Oh, yeah.
sound. And that's not a typical violin technique,
Right.
you know?
The squeak kind of makes it.
And
Yeah.
squeak isn't even the right word, but
No.
just a little grunt, a grind or
Grind, yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Individual, like I don't know. I feel like it gives it depth and feeling, and it's in the moment and kind of space. I'm gonna ask you to play something, and
I'm going to squeak the
yeah,
hell
and
out
I
of it.
want to, and I'll ask you to play it two different ways.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. No.
It's gonna be good, and
Okay.
and it's gonna be amazing. You wait for it. That was
Okay.
amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
You did a prison music project.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the Amity Foundation. Can you give us some insight on the real world music impact of that?
Wow, nobody ever asked about that. Well, it was very parallel with recovery
Mhm.
because I was playing for guys that were in, you know, everybody had a drug charge. So they were maximum security prisons and a lot of lifers because at the time, they still had the 3-strike law. And
Mm.
so
Mhm.
there was guys that, their 3 strikes were selling weed, violation of probation, and they were serving life in
Oh,
prison.
That's
Not
crazy.
everybody really needed to be there. And so, anyways, yeah, I was one of the first people in California allowed to bring an instrument in many, many years.
wow.
And so part of me being there was I would perform solo. I did a lot of blues,
Mhm.
brought my wah-wah, did like some kind of hip hop sounding stuff,
You did it all solo?
all solo,
Mhm.
just because they weren't allowing people in at that time. But in a few different prisons, the guys had they had a band room. So there was a couple places we jammed, that some of the inmates were able to play along. And then other places they would just get up and beatbox with me
Oh
and
my gosh.
and hang out. Yeah, it was really, really cool. But a lot of my talk with them was about as soon as I walked in, first of all, I'm female, so I got a reaction for that.
Right.
And then I'm white, got a reaction for that, and I'm holding a violin. So everybody had decided exactly what I was going to do. And then always the first note, I had to whip out the wah-wah, and I'd hear them all like, "Oh shit!" So the
I
whole
love that.
thing was about you don't know, you can't prejudge people, and you can't prejudge yourself, you know what I mean? Like that
Right.
same thing. Like you gotta kind of
I'm
be who
having
you are and accept that and wait until you know.
I have this big vision in my head now after hearing that story of the episode in the movie Friday where they all like
Yeah.
lean to the side and look
Yeah,
as
like,
soon as you hit the
yeah, like
wah-wah with the squeak, I
I'm
mean
like,
the
what's going
note,
on?
they're like, "What?"
I
exactly.
love that. And it's like a lesson and um don't decide what the book is by the
Don't
cover.
decide. And
Yeah.
then part of it was especially then I could really talk to them about the violin, not, all the different directions the violin can go
Yeah.
as an instrument. Because that was the most unexpected thing was that the violin could make those sounds. They expected classical music.
You open their eyes and ears to things that they had no idea that was going to come.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
and
Yeah.
was that the mission of the project was to
Pretty
teach them music
much.
type?
Not it. It was pretty much just to be an ambassador for hope, I would say more than
Mm,
anything was what Amity wanted to do.
Yeah.
But they were all about people, and still are, about people reclaiming the essence of who they are.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because drugs are a symptom
Mhm.
right.
to some sort of lack of accepting yourself, loving yourself, whatever, finding yourself, So the conversations always went a lot of different ways for me as to how I got into music or how,
That's
the
great.
violin did
Do
what
you
it
still work
did.
with them?
I still do, yeah.
Oh,
I still work here in town.
Did
that's
that
great.
process of doing those concerts and those talks, did that change you?
Oh, so much.
Name one
Yeah.
thing that you feel like changed in yourself from doing that.
Oh, wow. Well, it certainly changed how I look at the world on a much deeper level because I'm very passionate about recovery work, certainly
Hmm.
music in that. And then now, our terrible prison complex thing that's going on. So, and it really opened my eyes. I didn't realize how many people are locked up. Many nice, young, sweet people just like me did the exact same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but personally, I think I wouldn't say it changed me, but it gave me more faith in what music can do. It's just one more moment
Yeah. The
where it
power
was
of it.
like, oh yeah, we're from the same hood. Like as soon as it was the music was in the middle, it's like, oh yeah, we're all the same.
And bless you for being a beacon of hope for people out there. And that the power of music, the language, the international language that it is amazing.
It
So
is.
so speaking of that, you've recorded like tons of albums of your own and with other people. Is there like one album of yours or a song that just like speaks to you more than anything else?
I would say that my favorite song I wrote, and ironically, I wrote it at Amity, was The Tree.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote it during my time at
Yeah.
Amity. I was up on Mount Lemon, as I told you.
Right.
But we had, I keep pointing him because that is one of the songs we did with the Tucson Pops.
Oh.
And he did an amazing arrangement for the orchestra. Yeah.
That was
I
a
think
special.
that's my favorite.
It's wonderful. And if you're listening, find and search. We'll find a way so you can hear Heather playing the tree and singing it. It's just an amazing composition, and I'm remembering that moment. It just like hits you right here in the heart. It's wow, yeah, that's super cool. So so improvisation. I'm going to bang zoom to another thing. There is a Heather Hardy out there that's a professional boxer.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
So-
arch nemesis.
Yeah. So I've wondered, have you two ever talked about like maybe trading places for the day? Would you step into a boxing ring?
Is that your style?
Yeah. And whose ass would you kick if you did?
Well, for sure she'd kick my ass. Yeah. Whose ass? Well, honey, I want to keep this non-political, but I've got a certain fantasy that I would love to
You're not alone.
throw down. But I do have always planned, and it'll probably be my next record, to superimpose my face on her
yes, that would
body
be
for a
great.
record. But I should reach out to her. It would be a kick.
I think it
because
would.
these days you can actually probably connect
Yes.
with people. And
It would,
It would
it's
be
much
fun.
easier now than it would.
she was undefeated from Brooklyn. Beautiful girl. I
Right.
mean, a hell of a boxer.
Does
yeah.
she still box? Do you know?
I think she just retired.
So you
And
do?
unfortunately, I did hear that I think she has a little, what is it, when your head's been
Oh,
beat down, the chronic concussions.
oh, yeah.
I think that's
Oh,
why she
yeah.
had to
The
retire.
migraines and
yeah.
the stuff that
that's
comes
horrible.
along with that. That's too bad.
yeah, that is
she's
too bad.
really good.
Maybe she has
Yeah.
a music career in her future.
It's
If you guys connect, you know?
Yeah, it could happen. So
hilarious.
All right. So, this point in the podcast, what we generally do is let you in on a little thing that we've been working on. And that is we kind of dig into your past and talk to your friends, family, acquaintances.
nicely about you behind
Absolutely.
your back. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we get a pop-up question that
Oh,
we get
okay.
to post to you. So, we've done that.
So I thought of like, who could I reach out to that knows you really well?
Hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought like, well, why don't I talk to your son, Jacob?
Oh, very cool. Excellent choice.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he knows you
I
pretty
was
well.
like, other people think they know me, but you got that one
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And he actually came back. He had a lot of questions and a lot of like really cool introspection. So I want to try to dive into some of the things that he asked about.
Sweet.
Yeah. So he goes, every violinist that has a violin, their violin has some history. And he knows that your violin has some special history to it.
Mm.
So what is that?
Well, other than the history with me, I can't say I know that much
Yeah.
about my good violin, but it was made in 1799.
Well,
Oh
there's
my
something
goodness.
right there.
So that's a lot of history. It's Italian.
Is it a
It's
Stradivarius?
No, I wish.
Yeah.
It's Antonio Brevet.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a German style, but it's made by an Italian violin maker. And I've had it since, let me think about this, 1980, I think 1982.
Wow.
I got it. So you figure it's been with me. And I have multiple violins, and I am very kind and careful with this violin. But it was my violin. So it was in the subways meeting Don Houston. I mean, it was everywhere. for the last 30, 40 years.
And
It's
how
amazing.
that's amazing that you found an instrument like that. And
Well, that's where I got to thank my parents, because my dad was a medical illustrator, and they were not wealthy people, but they came from, he worked in New York. I grew up in Connecticut. And so they were very particular about what they spent money on.
Mm.
And so we didn't get many fancy things, nothing. But I got violin lessons. And when it came time to go to music school, my dad's like, if you're going to do this, man, you have what you just said.
Right.
You have to have a good instrument.
Right.
You can't be with the $200 instrument and everybody's got Stradivariuses, and because he was an artist, he really got it. So they really, I before he passed, one of the last things I told him, I'm like, Dad, every day I open that case, I thank you. Like, I
that's
love
great.
that violin.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure he
it's
loved
really
hearing
cool.
that.
Oh, and I really meant it, because I would have been like, get me the jeans and the cheap violin. You know what I mean? When you're young.
Right.
Oh,
You don't know
for
what
You
you
sure.
don't
don't
know.
know what you don't know. And now people are like, would you take a Stradivarius? And I don't think I would take another violin. This one's mine. I love it. It does the job.
Yeah.
And when you first picked it up, were you like, yeah?
I loved it, but I was also in a shop in New York where they were handing me $50,000 violins. And my dad's kind of like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Not today.
But we'll try. We could do this one.
So he also mentioned that in the 90s you had tendinitis.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's funny.
yeah, and he knows that you changed your technique and you did a lot of wellness activities,
Yes.
and you've really changed like your whole approach to violin and what you do to make sure that not only that healed, but that you can play for a long, long time.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
He was really young. I had surgery. What's it called? Decurvain's tendonitis. You've heard of that? And he was, 4 or 5.
Wow.
But post that, I have very much changed how I play. Some are maybe, I don't know. I did work with a teacher that said, you learn how to play the instrument. There's technique. And then there's a next level of learning your body in terms of how they tell you to hold it in your neck and whether you use a shoulder rest or you don't. And so a lot of those things I changed for myself, I started listening, and I do a lot of acupuncture.
I like that. And when you say you started listening to your body?
To my body.
Yeah.
Like
It's interesting how that happens at around 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, I was young. I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
And already, when you play as much as we do, boy, it hits hard.
It does.
One, I know you have a similar issue to that.
I have too.
Yeah.
I struggle with some things myself because, and you have to listen to your body. We spend all of our life listening to other things, and we forgot to, sometimes we forget to listen to ourselves and what's happening.
And what's happening. And it's kind of all it takes is to listen, because it will tell you pretty quick.
Yeah. So there's just one thing and our kids are amazing. And so Jacob, and you never know what's going to stick.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to read what he wrote. I love this. He told me the story about being on tour with you and Sam Taylor when he was young, and you were in France and you were in a hotel. And he goes, it was a small, silly moment, but it really made an impact on him, where he was having races down the hallway with Sam.
Oh, cute.
Oh, my God. I totally remember.
You remember that?
It was the cutest thing. Well, the funniest thing was Sam was fast. And we were all like, be careful, Sam, because Jacob was a little fast kid.
Yeah.
And then Sam just burned him down the hall.
Challenge accepted.
I don't know if Jacob ever beat him or not. I can't. Jacob would remember, but they were so cute. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Because
That's really cool.
He said it made an impact on him, and obviously positive because it's a core memory.
Yeah.
And it's like in those moments,
So
like you
sweet.
have no idea like that you're creating this core memory. It's really cool.
Totally.
Yeah. So always like to end. I know. I told you 30
That
minutes goes by.
flies,
It goes by
yeah.
super fast.
Yeah.
And the question is this: why does live music matter?
Ooh, gosh. Well, do you got another 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I think we said it already. Everything in the room becomes completely equal and balanced to everybody that's in the room, participating, enjoying, working, whatnot, because the center becomes the music. And then there you are. We're all here. We're all together. We're all enjoying it.
I love it.
I
That's
love
great.
Oh, that's beautiful.
it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Heather,
coming
it's
in.
been a wonderful time sitting here
Hey,
talking
it's
with
my
you. I could do
pleasure.
this for hours with you.
Yes,
I know,
for
I
sure.
do.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Website is Heather Lil Mama, which we didn't even get into talking about, but we can in another visit.
Sure.
HeatherLilMama.com, or follow you on all the socials, Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you so much.
You're very
guys.
welcome.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
again.